All right, great. David, if you can send me a text just to make sure that you can hear me okay. So I've muted the line. And I'm sorry if you guys hear a little bit of a plane. I literally just landed. I'm still in the plane, but I'm committed to making sure that we always start this call on time. So for those of you who are here on this is our first English personal development call. My name is Karla Sandoval, and originally I live in Los Angeles. I am currently in San Francisco. And just to tell you a little bit about how these calls are going to go, we've been starting this series of personal development calls every week. We started them last week in Spanish, and due to everybody's demand, requesting them to be done in English, this is our first call. So every week will be a different topic, and the way that this call will be run is that just for today, I'm actually going to be doing the entire call for 30 minutes, but then every week I'm going to be giving you guys assignments where you're going to go out to your life and apply these principles that we're learning here, and then we'll be getting together every week and discussing exactly what you learned, what you put in practice, and more importantly, what did you discover about yourself, okay? So if you guys don't have anything to write with, I encourage you to please do grab something to write with. This call is going to go pretty fast. I talk fast. If I talk too fast, somebody can just send me a text and telling me to slow down. Send me a text. Oh, there we go. Let me see. Okay, great. So you can hear me. Perfect. All right, you guys. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, today's personal development class is about discipline. Now, for those of you who are here for the first time, and maybe this is the first time you've ever done any kind of personal development, it's really just the ability to be able to, well, this is the definition of these that I would like to say, the ability to really start developing yourself as a human being in order to be able to accomplish anything that you set your mind to, whether it's, for your personal life, your business life, whatever it is, your family life. It really all starts, and I want you to write this down, it all starts with you. So many times people want to change circumstances, change things around them, but we sometimes fail to really see what really needs to alter, and that's the self. So personal development, I love when Jim Rohn says it, so you want to write this down. Personal development is really seeing reality, is really seeing how things really are, okay? And everything starts here. So I'm going to really encourage you guys for the rest of this week to really dedicate the majority of your time doing your personal development. So one of the homework assignments that I'm going to encourage each and every one of you, if you want to put a little homework assignment on a piece of paper, there's going to be 3 things that I'm going to ask or request from you guys for this week. And the first thing is dedicating at least 15 minutes, preferably in the morning, where you do something, whether it's that you read, you listen to an audio, listen to a YouTube video, something where you're starting to develop the habit of starting to do some kind of personal development every single day in the morning. Now, personal development could also be you praying. If that's something that you would like to do, reading a book, an audio, whatever it is, you choose, okay? But minimum 15 minutes, all right? And really, here's the thing you guys really want to get clear on is that the hard work is really on ourselves and really starting to develop a couple of skills and habits that are really going to alter and, more importantly, that are really going to change how you relate to yourself. At the end of the day, people could say whatever they say, but the most important thing is how do you feel about you, okay? So here's the thing. We're going to go working hard on 4 things. This is your second assignment for the week, okay? And that is, write this down. You want to go working hard on yourself in developing 4 areas. Number 1 is your temperament. Okay, great. So number 1 is your temperament. And I really want to, this week, I want you to start looking at how is it that you react to certain things that happen. I would hate to, the reality is life just happens, right? But more importantly, I want you to start self-observing yourself. How do you, handle those situations? When something doesn't go your way or something happens, what's your temperament like? Do you totally get upset and completely get all frustrated, or do you look at it as a learning experience? Do you actually look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this? So the first thing I'm going to ask each and every one of us for this week is to start observing, how is your temperament? Do you easily get upset? Are you easily frustrated? Okay, so really start taking a look at it. Okay, number 2, start working hard on yourself in number 2, your language. This week, I want you to start looking at what's your language like? How do you speak? How do you speak to others? What is it that you're saying? Is it the things that are coming out of your mouth, every other word, dishonoring yourself, or maybe even down, or maybe even worse yet, one of the things that sometimes a lot of us can get into the habit of is constantly, cussing or saying foul language. And here's the thing I want you to write this down. There is power, write this down. There is power in language. There is power in the words that you use. So here's the thing. This week, what I want you to start doing is start looking at what is your language? How do you speak? What are the words you're constantly using? And I want to really encourage you guys to start looking at how do you speak, more importantly, about yourself, okay? So, the other day, last week, actually, I was in Sacramento, and I shared this on the Spanish con. I want to really share this with you guys, is that this particular gentleman, he was making some kind of comment, and then he, jokingly, he insulted himself. He said, oh, I'm so stupid, right? And he was just kidding. But I want you to really stop and think about something, and that is, okay, when sometimes you think you're just joking around, but I'm really going to encourage you and challenge you to think that the brain does not know the difference between reality and a joke, between reality and a lie. Your brain is not going to sit there and go, oh, Karla, no, you're not stupid, you're super smart, okay? So if you're waiting for the brain to do that, you're going to be waiting for a long time. So number 2 is your language. I really want you guys to start thinking, and it's not more importantly, start observing how are you speaking to yourself and to others. And here's the thing. One of the things I want you to think about is that every time you say something not favorable about yourself, every time you insult yourself, every time you say something, you are literally, like, I'm going to exaggerate, right? But it's like you're cutting a little finger off yourself. You are no longer left complete. In other words, I want you to write this down. Language can give you power, but honestly, I want you to write this down. More importantly, and here's the thing where sometimes it gives you, we forget, is that language, false language or destructive language, makes you lose power, okay? So I want you to write that down. Negative language equals loss of power. So imagine this person that's kidding around saying, oh, I'm so dumb, right? You're thinking, oh, he's just kidding. But I want to encourage you and challenge you to consider that at that moment, he's left with less power about himself. So this entire week, in addition to the temperament, I want you to start observing yourself and how you speak, the language that you're using, okay? So number 2 is language. Number 3, your personality. Again, this week I'm going to encourage you to start looking at how is it, what's your personality like? Are you somebody who's fun, who's adventurous, or are you somebody who sees everything as boring and dull? And here's the thing about personality is that there is charisma is attractive. Okay? Now, I'm not asking you to not be yourself. I'm not asking you if you're a quiet, calm person to be like, oh, my God, and totally exaggerating, right? Because you want to be authentic with yourself. Absolutely. But consider that there is a time and a moment that charisma, enthusiasm, and passion are like the most attractive things that you can have. Of course, like if you're at a funeral, right, you don't want to crack a joke. But what I'm trying to say here is really take a look at what is your personality like? How are people when you walk into a room? What is it? What do the people do? Do they kind of like move to the side and like avoid you, or is your personality so amazing that people are drawn to you? Okay, so I want you to start looking at this week. It's what's your personality like. Number 4, your vision. Okay, so again, this week, go working hard on your vision. Start looking at when you think about your future, you think about, what is it going to be like 5 years from now, 3 years from now, a year from now, or even a week from now. What is your vision like? Are you looking into the future like, yes, it's like out there like tomorrow? Or are you bringing in your vision into today? Let me explain what I mean by that. The other day I went to go visit a friend, actually. His name's Garrett Jones. Many of you guys have heard from him. I've heard of him in Facebook, his Herbal Heroes, right? And this guy literally went in 16 months to press team. He is currently not even 2 years in the business, or maybe he is, I don't even know. It's like under 3 years, okay? He's already hitting his 20,000 royalty cuts. For those of you who are new, it's a lot of money, okay? And the other day I went to go visit him, and I actually, was talking to him, and he shared with me that when he was a world team, when he was a world team member, he was visualizing himself at press team 15K. So when he got to press team 15K, when he got his cufflinks, people asked him, Garrett, how do you feel? Not even 2 years in the business, you already hit 15K. And he said, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, how does it feel? And he said, It doesn't feel any different. I've had this feeling since I was in World Team. So in other words, he took that vision and like he saw his vision of out in the future, like that's where I'm going to be, but he didn't keep it out there in the future. He brought that vision into the today, into the now. So if you start looking at, and I'm going to include myself in this area, right? I just got an aha moment for myself as I'm speaking. But if you look at like, hey, so a year from now, what do you want your life to look like? Yes, it's important. Do a vision board. Do everything you need to do. Put pins up. Look at the cars. Look at the house you want to get. Look at the clothes you want to buy, the shoes, the purses, the vacations you want, the school you want to put your kids in. Whatever it is that you want, absolutely have it out there. But I'm going to invite you to bring it in. Bring it into the now and start feeling as if you have those things now. So start looking at this week. When you think about your future, do you keep it out there like someday it's going to happen, or do you bring it into the now, okay? So that's number 4. So in conclusion, this week we're going to go hard on, number 1, your temperament. Number 2, your language. Number 3, your personality. And number 4, your vision. And I'm going to really encourage you guys, don't be lazy with the personal development. Don't think like, oh, I don't have time for that. Here's the thing, you guys. It is through personal development that you will achieve everything in your life. Because it is through you developing yourself as a person that you're going to be able to bring in the habits, the disciplines, the rituals, everything you need in order to get what you want. So write this down. Don't be lazy with personal development, okay? So let's go into the topic of the disciplines, okay? So here it is. It is the disciplines that create the miracles. Write that down. It is the disciplines that create the miracles. And without the discipline, you guys, nothing will happen. You can go to the gym one day and you will not wake up the next day like Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay, or like a bikini model. You have to hit the gym every single day. You've got to do the disciplines of drinking water every single day. You can't drink water one day and think, oh, I'm done, and not drink water for the rest of the week or the rest of the year. It is the disciplines that make the miracles happen. Okay, so every time your little voice comes in and says, no, you already drank water, oh, no, but you already worked out, just tell that voice to shut up, sit down, and you move on, okay? I don't know how else to put it, but tell that voice to just shut up. I sometimes tell my little stupid voice, sorry, hold on, negative thought, right? I sometimes tell my ridiculous voice, thank you for sharing, goodbye. Because that's not what I'm committed to. Sometimes these voices that come in, really, you guys got to get that they are there to protect you, to keep you safe, okay? But in reality, you guys, it is only through you coming out of yourself and out of that box that miracles will happen. It is through those disciplines, you doing something even when you don't feel like it, okay? So it is the disciplines what makes the miracles happen, and without them, nothing will happen. So, yes, you need vision, you need faith, you need all that stuff, okay? But honestly, you guys, it is a discipline that makes things work, okay? So let's start. Homework number 3, and that is, what are the 3 disciplines that you're going to put into practice this week? So write that down. That's the 3rd homework assignment. What are the 3 disciplines that you're going to put in practice this week? So what I am going to request for each and every one of you is to text your sponsor. As soon as this call is done, I need you to text your upline. Text somebody the 3 things that you're going to do from now till the next week, okay? So you want to text them 3 disciplines that you're going to put into practice each and every day, all right? So it is a discipline that, again, that will create the reality of everything that you're going to be doing every day. Now, note, and I want you to write this down, each discipline affects the rest. Each discipline affects the rest. And then I want you to write this down. Each lack of discipline affects the rest. Each lack of discipline affects the rest. Okay? So everything, write this down, everything affects everything. Okay? Everything matters, you guys. Everything matters. Everything matters. And here's the thing. You've got to get that sometimes we diminish certain things because it's like whatever, right? So let me share with you what I mean by that. So one of the disciplines that I've taken on, okay, there's a couple of them, but one of the disciplines that I've taken on is doing my bed every morning. Now, there are times like this morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock. I had to be, I'm actually here in San Francisco. I had to be at the airport by 6, right? So I could have very easily been like, oh, well, whatever, my bed, right? And I could have even justified, oh, it's because I was running, I'm running like a maniac this morning. But you know what, you guys? It literally takes 30 seconds. Maybe I didn't make the bed as perfect as I normally do or normally would when I have time. But guess what? The bed got done. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to start looking at the little things that you drop the ball on. And here's the thing. I want you to understand. I want you to observe this week. Every time you honor that discipline, notice how that makes you feel. And every time you dishonor that discipline, notice how that makes you feel. For example, this morning I was, running around. I was like, I had to be at the airport, but, I had to take my car. I drove myself to the airport. I have to LAX. I have to park, and then whatever. It's a process here in Los Angeles, right? So I was running out, and I noticed that my bed was not done. I was getting ready to leave, you guys, and here's the thing. Because I've been 7 days now, I make my bed every morning, but since last week, the Spanish call, I gave myself my word that I would do my bed every morning. So as I was running out, I was like, leaving, I saw that my bed was not made. And for a moment, I had a thought of just let it go. I'm going to be late. But guess what? That feeling that, like, I noticed this gut feeling in my stomach, like I lost power. I would have lost power had I left it that way. So I turned around, went back in, and made the bed. Literally, you guys, it didn't even take me 30 seconds, okay? I even put my Mickey, my Minnie on my bed. But something as simple as making the bed every single day, washing my dishes every single day, taking off my shoes taking off my shoes when I come home every single day, whatever it is. Now, the other discipline that I've taken on is putting on my whiteboard. If those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook, I'm going to actually start doing this every single day because some people ask me to, is I write on my whiteboard the night before what my day will look like the next day. And you have no idea how much that has helped me. For example, last night, I created a possibility. I said today, and I'll actually read it at the end in case we don't run out of time. But I wrote down there, wake up at 5 o'clock, be at the airport by 6:30, blah, 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 everything, go to San Francisco, have a, amazing meeting, and then make some phone calls when I get back at 7 o'clock. I literally wrote down every single thing I needed to do this day. Because I want you to get one thing. The brain, it's like you give it power every time you accomplish little things. So sometimes we overlook the little things and we're only focusing on the big stuff. And so your brain starts to celebrate every accomplishment, making the bed, making the call, getting on the call on time, doing my personal development, whatever it is, every single day, okay? So how do we make changes? How do we create or cause ourselves to start creating these disciplines every single day, okay? How do we create and cause ourselves to be disciplined? There are really 4 things that have to be in play. Number 1, your philosophy, okay? I want to write this down. Number 1, your philosophy. And the philosophy is the definition, okay? Or not definition, but a description is the ability to make decisions about the direction. Now, I'm just going to put the direction because it could be the ability to make decisions about the direction of your business, about the direction of your life, about the direction of your health, about the direction of your personal life, whatever it is. So what is your philosophy, about X thing? Do you see, it's how you see life. It's how you see things that will determine whether you follow through or not, okay? So number 1 is your philosophy. Number 2, it's the ability to observe others. Okay, it's the ability to observe others, but more importantly, it's the ability to observe and read yourself. It's the ability to observe and read yourself. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So many of the times, you guys, we're going about life and every day is another day, right? So here's the thing I'm going to encourage each and every one of you is to start looking, start seeing, observing, and start to analyze and really be self-aware of how you are. Like I gave you the homework, your temperament, your attitude, your personality, your vision, all those things. So the way you're going to start having that discipline start changing, sorry, you guys, I'm at the airport. The way that you're going to notice how things are going to start changing is your philosophy and, number 2, the ability of you reading others and reading yourself. Being observant. Write this down. Be present. Be present. You know, so many times, you guys, we live life like, oh, it's just another day. And I'm going to encourage you for this week to really be present. Be present about everything that's around you, okay? Number 3, be mindful of what's going on, okay? Be mindful. And actually, that's actually where it turns into be present. Be mindful about what's going on. Start noticing everything around you. Start hearing what people are saying. Start hearing what your distributors are talking about. Start hearing what your clients are saying. When you're actually present at the moment, you guys, you really can start making a shift into say, okay, you know what? This is how I want my life to be. But so many times we just go about life and don't even know we're in it. It's like another day goes by. I don't know for you guys, right? But I've had those days. Actually, last week was not that. I did not have one unproductive day last week. And part of the reason was, actually not part, but the reason was because of the disciplines I took. I changed my philosophy. I started thinking, you know, that one of the philosophies that I adopted, I'll give it to you guys, is I have nothing but time. I mean, I'm not kidding you guys. If you look at my schedule last week, I hardly had time. Just on Saturday alone, I went to an STS, a bridal shower. And granted, Saturday was a fun day, right? I went to an STS, a bridal shower, up to Hollywood to a bridal shower, down to Pomona to watch the fight, up to Long Beach for this event, you know, and I mean all day I was out and about. Now you could say, oh, well, you know what, I don't have time. So I changed my philosophy to this: I have nothing but time. And guess what? The moment I changed my relationship with time, things started to change, okay? So start being mindful of what's going on. Make every day count. And number 4, and lastly, and that is to listen. Listen, number 1, to your team and to your clients. And I want you to write this down. Really listen, okay? Write this down. Say, listen for what matters to them. I want you to write that down. Listen for, F-O-R, what matters to them. There is a huge difference when you listen to people, like you're listening to them talk, to them say whatever they say. But when you listen for what matters to them, you're going to hear what they're really, really saying. So some people might say, you know what, I want to, get on the nutritional program because I want to get healthier. And you're listening to them, right? But then you shift the listening for what matters to them, and all of a sudden you start asking better questions, like, tell me more about that. What does that look like? And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, this person's like crying. They're like, oh my God, I was just diagnosed with diabetes. I want to live a long life to see my kids grow up. And now guess what? You didn't listen to her. You listened for what matters, and that is to live a long life for her and her family. So start shifting your listening, not from the 2 to the 4, okay? So listen for what matters to them, and you're going to see when you do that how you can really make a difference with them, okay? And the second part of listening, and put a big star next to this one, and that is to listen to yourself. Really listen to how you speak to yourself, how you think of yourself, how you relate to yourself, how you occur to yourself, like really, no joke, start listening to yourself. So many times, you guys, and we're going to conclude the call with this thought, so many times, so many things happen, and then like 5 days later, we're like, I knew it. I knew this wasn't going to work out, or I knew this wasn't the right thing to do. But guess what? We didn't listen to ourselves. So one of the things I'm going to encourage each and every one of you this week is to really listen to that voice. And again, when it's a disempowering voice, just tell it, thank you so much for sharing, shut up and sit down. And you move forward. Because here's the thing. Remember this, it's not to be knocking yourself down, or not to be, beating yourself up and making yourself wrong at all. But you got to get that voice is there to protect you, to keep you safe, to keep you from the unknown. But guess what? If you stay there, you'll continue to have what you've already had. Now, if you live the life that you've always wanted to live, congratulations. Listen to the voice, because it wants to keep you there. Actually, I would even say, even if you do live the life that you wanted to live, even that voice, you got to move it aside, because life will have so much more to offer if you're willing to take a chance on yourself, to take a chance on what that means to actually live a life that you truly love, and to completely get outside of yourself, to live with passion, and to live with more than anything, to live with purpose. And for each and every one of you who's on the call right today, There's so much that Herbalife helps with that. We've got the success training seminars every month, which I know Fresno had theirs last week, on last Sunday. Dallas had theirs, Long Beach had theirs, and all of us are talking about one thing, and that is the extravaganza. Why you must be there, whether it's the one that you go to Los Angeles or you go to Las Vegas, whichever one you choose to go to, or you go to both, it's because it is through those events that you will actually start shifting your philosophy, start shifting the way you listen, start shifting the way you see things, start shifting the way you speak, your language, your vision, your temperament, your personality. Because to be around 10,000 people, all with the same vision, same mission, same passion, same purpose, and more importantly, that have a drive and a hunger for life, it's contagious. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to encourage each and every one of you is, I don't know what it's going to take from you or of you to get to the extravaganza. Okay, it's in October. We've got time. Do everything you possibly can to get yourself there. Because here's the thing, you guys, you must understand this. If that voice starts saying that you can't because you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you tell that voice to shut up and sit down, okay? Because it is that voice that's kept you living the way you've lived. You just tell that voice to shut up and sit down, and then, bam, you create a new future for yourself, and you start living into that vision and pulling it into today. You start thinking about how you want your life to be and what actions you must take in order to shift the way you live, more importantly, shift your standard of life, and to shift the way you think. Because here's the thing, you guys. Money is great and material possessions are fantastic, but it is who you become that is with you forever. Because you can buy a beautiful house, but if you're not a beautiful person, if you haven't changed internally, now there's an ugly person living in a beautiful home. But if you start shifting the way you think, the way you are, the way you relate to yourself, the way you relate to people, and you live in a beautiful home, now you've got an extraordinary person living in a beautiful home. And the house can't even do justice for how bright and big you are. And that's the goal for each and every one of us. These calls every week, we're going to be doing different topics, okay, to help to groom and mold you into becoming the person that you were meant to be. But the events, the extravaganzas, that is what's really going to, it's like rocket fuel, okay? It is going to completely impulse you to where you want to go. So with that said, I'm going to conclude this call saying a couple of things. Number one, do your homework, okay? Text your upline, the 3 disciplines. Start observing those things that I said, okay, about what it is that it's going to take for you to make those shifts. And number 2, this call will be recorded an hour after. You can start listening to it. You can start forwarding it to your district